Hi, I'm Kristin Mateika. I'm part of our creative team, part of the visual expression of the team, so looking at stage design, items, and helping be a part of the incredible team that craft those moments.
I like that. I am Gabriel Kelly. I am also involved in our creative team. I don't know what I do. But what I do know is what Chris does is a lot. Chris, we're here today to talk about one aspect in particular of your role, something you work on with a broad range of creatives. We're here to talk about the pitch. Yeah. How to create an environment and a space that allows people to fully envisage and experience the idea that you're trying to create for a creative moment. Massive topic. Obviously something that involves a lot of people. You're here speaking on behalf of a wide team who I'm sure we'll get to talk about and hear what they do. Talk to me about why the pitch is so important.
Right. So there's so many moments in church life that we want to help make special and create a space around them, but we need to give the idea to leadership and to team and help them before we get there imagine what the moment can be like.
They need to see it before they can see it.
Exactly. So teams might spend weeks, they might spend days or even months coming up with a concept that we want to present as this is going to be an incredible either platform or a moment within a conference, an event that they can do. But to articulate that, it is visual, so we need to show them instead of just say beautiful words.
Beautiful words are a part of it, but obviously it's a visual representation of what you want to do. So when you do pitch an idea or a moment, what does that comprise? What does the pitch actually look like? Yeah. What are you revealing?
It starts with a mood board, so it might be an overall look and feel of this is the color palette, this is the font, this is the tone we want to go, or these are the materials we want to use, or here's actually a beautiful piece of architecture that's inspired us and we want to take those elements and create a stage design from that.
And so with those mood boards, that could be 3 or 4 images? Is it 30 or 40 images?
It depends on the event, but when you get to a presentation level, it should be called down to your core values of that design. So it might be 1 or 2 pages of the key elements of that design. So if it's for Christmas, maybe it includes costuming, it includes different video things that you might include, or props, or it might just be as simple as lighting that inspires you, so you can take it to the team and start a conversation.
So anything that was kind of inspirational, foundational in developing that can be short, can be long, it has to be core to that. What else is there in the pitch? The mood board?
There's
and what
mood
else?
board, and then oftentimes what we found really valuable is actual sketches or rendering of the design or the item in the space. Because as much as it's out there, every time we do something, it comes down to the room we live in. And that can really help leadership or team that you're trying to go, does this work? Imagine it in their space.
Right, so you will do a mock-up of what a stage design would look like or a moment would look like in the room just using like drawing software or any number of mediums, right?
Yeah.
Is that helpful? Does that actually help with leadership?
It's so helpful because I remember one of the first times we did a set design years ago, you'd have no conversation of leadership before you got in the room. So I'd go, it's big and it's beautiful and it's going to look amazing and here's my references. But without it being drawn, those words can be very different to everyone else. And then you get in the room and you're like, that's not what I thought it was. Because I love the idea like a picture paints 1,000 words. But what's even scarier is words paint 1 billion pictures. Like I think if we say it's going to be magical, you're magical, my magical, you're magical, none of them would look the same. They may have the same flavors, but not the same.
Yeah, and when you use language like that, it creates different pictures in people's minds. So the idea of the pitch is it actually helps clarify what you will and won't be delivering, right? Yep,
and it helps bring up roadblocks that might be questions of problems you need to solve. So it's actually like a great palette for dialogue for leadership and team outworking it.
So when you pitch, that's interesting to me. When you pitch, you're not there going, here's what we're doing. It's a conversation starter.
It's a conversation starter. And often I get to pitch my ideas, and sometimes I have to take someone else's idea who's labored, and I have to, because of time zones or just the environment, I have to take their idea. And I think in that moment, I have to own their idea like it's like I have to care for it and guard it like it's mine, because they've labored and put themselves in a vulnerable space to create something. And so I think I owe it to them to go, this is going to be the best idea, I'm going to give it everything, and not just go, oh, here's something they've done, but actually really get their vision for
Right.
the design, work together with the team to make sure we're crafting the key language around the concept. So if in a meeting they go, can we change this or that? I know whether it's my idea or someone else's, we've worked out what's critical to that design before it stays or goes.
Right. This is interesting to me. So you will often be pitching an idea from someone else on the team that's not even yours.
Yeah.
You talked about caring for their idea like it's your own. What can people do as far as not just including others' ideas in the process they're responsible for, but even telling and pitching other people's ideas with that same level of dedication?
Yeah, I think I hope that I would always go, this is from so-and-so, and that we're actually helping leadership understand there's a broad team of people contributing. So I think knowing it well and knowing so say for example with a set design, if the critical elements are a light box and a shape, that's critical. If we need to change it for the canvas or the space, that's what can change before taking the design and saying it's off the table. Or same with the creative moment. Maybe the song's not critical, but it's the feeling around it that we really want to keep.
Right. So you know what is changeable and what's critical to that, and you can speak with clarity and with authority about what matters to them and to the idea.
Yeah. I read once about, I can't find the book, and I've been searching all morning, but it talks about the third idea, that when you go into a pitch, you go on that it's the best thing in the world, and I'm not very confident. I'm always like, everything I do is every idea is terrible, but that when you walk into that environment, it's the best thing in the world, and you give it everything, and you help create this idea of it's going to be the best thing in the world. Then you pause, and you take feedback. And then hopefully you can go away and there'll maybe be a third idea that refines it to make it better.
From someone else or from your own?
From the concept, from the interaction in the room. And it's not a brand new idea, but it's going, there's more gold in this.
Awesome. Two things that I'd love to just dig a little deeper on. As far as gathering feedback from people after the pitch, the people you're pitching to in the room, obviously they have a say and they have buy-in to that. How do you personally kind of take that feedback on board without feeling wounded creatively, without going, oh, they hate it, it's whatever else?
I think if I can always remind myself there's a bigger objective than just my role and my space within the environment, that's really helpful because you can get really tied to the ideas. And then to go away and filter the feedback, because everyone's seeing it through a lens. Everyone has the things that they need it to be perfect for their team to function. So it's important never to dismiss it, but in the big picture that we're looking at, you can filter it into, is it critical? Is it a consideration? Is it a deal breaker?
That's really interesting. You also mentioned just before about how you can pitch an idea that you don't even think is very good. How does the pitch process help you refine your own creativity and come up with better ideas that you'll know will serve the moment that's required?
I think we have a responsibility as we're trusted more to not bring ideas that we don't believe in. So when I first started, I'd go, I hope they like it, and kind of close my eyes.
Here you go.
Whereas now, and it's only over time I can do this, I have to realize deadlines are critical, but deadlines can't rule something that's going to have a massive effect later on if it's just really not great. And there's always a tension because as a creative, it's never done until the clock runs out. So you want to keep going continually. But I think there's a balance of being honest with leadership and going, it's just not ready yet. Or we need to meet because I need help figuring out how to do this element of it, so that you don't bring belief to an idea that falls over, because then trust later on is a challenge.
Yeah, that's broken, and you have to start from scratch with that, which nobody wants. 2 more questions before we wrap up. I like how when you talk about the pitch and you tell us about the different ingredients that go into it from the mood board onwards, you mentioned everything from fabrics to colours, tones, textures. How wide-ranging is a pitch when you make it? Are you talking about smells and sounds? Are you talking about atmosphere you're trying to create? Like, how broad are you thinking?
Our days are full and busy. They can be full of meetings. I know my day's crazy. I know when leadership, they could have just had a big strategizing meeting. So when we get the opportunity to kind of pitch ideas, I love the thought that we can arrest the environment. So when we're talking about Christmas in July, who really wants to talk about Christmas in July?
Right.
But those are critical pitch moments. So it's even like, it can sound so silly, but it's even like setting up a Christmas tree, putting on an amazing Christmas playlist, baking Christmas cookies, making a candle that smells like Christmas, so that when the team walks in the room, they're not going, oh, I just had a meeting in here where I was trying to figure out how to budget or bring new team. It's going, it's pausing. Hopefully it can clear their brain, and then they can really engage in the moment. So that helps the idea, and I think it helps you leave that meeting with clarity of like, we were focused. So whatever we can do to help create that environment of focusing in on the idea and giving it all the life it can have.
Right. Last thing from me before we wrap up, I think what you do with the wider team is really important, and it's something that has gathered more and more weight in church life, something we put more and more effort and value into. And even the pitch process itself, the way you describe it here, is far and above the way a lot of people would imagine it for pulling off a moment in a church service or a conference. Outside the four walls of the church, in a lot of major companies, like pitching, just that happens routinely. But for us, we're kind of still working our way out. As far as people who want to start this process in their own church or creative team, where's a good starting point? What should their first kind of milestone aiming point be?
I think a church calendar is like your best friend. I think giving it time. So don't go, oh, my next project's, if you're just starting now, maybe Christmas isn't the best project.
Too soon?
Or
too
big?
You
know, Easter is whatever, wherever you are in your calendar.
Right.
Give time for your team to refine the mood boards. Give your team a palette of like, here's a great outline of what a mood board should be. Because even teaching the team what pictures are good and what's going to look beautiful to really help capture your idea, all of that takes time to work with your team. So you might just start with a mood board. And before you even get to the fine details of the moment, go, hey, what do you think of this as a big picture concept? And that also helps guard our hearts, because we're not spending months laboring into something that's the wrong track.
That's awesome. So make it attainable, make sure the team can get wins out of it, and give yourself enough lead time to like do it well and then execute if you need after that. Yeah? So. Anything else that you would say to everybody by way of encouragement?
I just think it should be fun and make it beautiful and be true to yourself. Don't copying or trying to feel the pressure of having it at a certain level is, it takes all the fun out of it. So just start slow and I think that's all.
Awesome. You're the best. Kris, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you very much, Gabe.
And can't wait to see your pictures in real life very, very soon.
Very, very soon. Thank you.